Woke up today, smile on my face, may not go my way, still got my...
Yo, what's up, No Niche? What's going on, y'all? It's your boy, Donald Francis. I don't really need any introduction because I'm not following any rules on this particular channel. But what I want to talk to you about is keep going and keep pushing. And the reason I'm saying that is because I remember working for a company called Related Hybrid out of New York. And it was such a beautiful company, you know. We were brand ambassadors, and what we were like the building concierge, you know. We make sure that we help people with everything that they needed to, you know, be helped with. We had wonderful outfits on and stuff like that, and you know, we felt good to help out the people and, you know, to be the answers to people. And we always taught that everything isn't enough, you know. I got people texting me, but it is what it is. So listen, I had to part ways from that particular place because I realized that what I thought it to be, you know, wasn't all of what I thought it could have been. You know, they wanted people to have certain mannerisms. You know, we wanted to, you know, say stuff like my pleasure, you know, good day. If we wanted to appoint them to somewhere, we don't point, we just open up our palms of the hand. You know, all of the wonderful, polite things and stuff like that. But, you know, just unfortunately wasn't like that to each other, you know, but the company is beautiful. But I would want to give a shout out to who is my boss, Mr. Noel Velez, who is nothing less than amazing and awesome, you know. And I've learned so much under his leadership, sir. I salute you. And you know, and so we had to part ways, you know, but we still have to love and to care for each other. Since then, I didn't realize that I couldn't see myself working for nobody else. You know, have you ever worked for a particular company that was so great that even though you had to part ways, you still had love for them, you know? Well, that was my life, you know, to the point that I had to open up my own business. I couldn't see myself working for nobody else, you know, because that's how good of hospitality that they were. Somebody might say, well, if you're so good, Donald, then why did you leave? Well, sometimes you find certain things in companies that you don't want to say, and you're like, listen, just because it didn't work out doesn't mean it's not a good job. Just because it didn't work out with me doesn't mean I'm a bad person at the same time, you know? So I did start my own company, you know, and I had a podcast and I put an LLC on it. And through that, I wanted to, you know, get monetized, not off of YouTube, but by getting leads, you know, and also getting clients, you know. So I've established an email list. I didn't want to work for YouTube at all, you know, and I didn't want to get anything from YouTube per se. I wanted to just use the platform. And by the way, just a note for everybody that if you are an entrepreneur or a solopreneur, you know, and if you're not a YouTuber, and I'm not trying to, you know, lash out on YouTubers, because if you're a YouTuber, that's great, because YouTube is excellent. But if you're someone who started your own business and stuff like that, you want more clients. So what you want to establish is an email list. And I would suggest that before you start to launch out anything, that you get you at least 500 emails to start, you know, before you get started with anything else. And I say that if you're going to start a YouTube channel, if you're going to start a podcast, you're going to start any type of digital business, you know, build your email list as you're building the actual business. But everything need a plan. However, you know, I did that, you know, and 2023 was the day that I part ways from Related. And I've been working, you know, up until this particular point. And I can say today that I am making just as much as I made, you know, as a brand ambassador with my own business. But there come a time where you just sometimes, even though you have to get to work, you don't feel like making videos. And so if you go under new MTP, you'll see my big head there. And I do content that's in conjunction with our online courses. So I specialize in helping people with mental and emotional control, you know, so that, you know, they could gain their inner peace. And so I have a new online course. It's called How to Gain Your Inner Peace. And for some people, it's how to regain your inner peace, you know, because so many people have lost their peace, you know, after coming through the COVID and the coronavirus, after, you know, the presidency, after all of these changes. You know, we have a lot of people been deported. We had the ICE and all of the, you know, all of the other stuff that's going on now. You know, it's a lot of changes going on in the world. You don't know all of what's going on or what's going to come. We have this war that's going on around us. This is really the reason why people need to gain their inner peace. And if you would like, and I'm not here to even sell it, but if you would like, to have this online course, Inner Peace, or how to gain your inner peace, I'll leave the description in the show notes, and I'll leave the link if you wanted that. This is not for that, but I wanted to just share with you. I just did not feel like finishing it. I have to finish it. So what I'm doing, and I want everybody to learn from this, that if you know that you have something that you're passionate about, that you want to finish, and you feel like you can't finish, you feel like that you're stuck because you have everything that you need, but internally it just feels like you just can't push past just, laxative, and being lackadaisical, if that's the real word, or you feel like you're just stuck, not because you don't have the curriculum, but it's just you have to now put it into action, and your body, it's like, no. This is what you want to do. Because today is, like I said, today is Friday, June 27th. Now we're a little over 10 o'clock p.m. I mandate today, from this day, that by July 2nd, Wednesday, July 2nd, I'm going to have this course finished. I'm going to have it packaged. I'm going to have it sent out. I'm going to start my introduction of the webinar, offer it. We don't sell, we offer, Yeah, and so I want to have all of that packaging, and I want to have bonuses, on top of that. And so many people are looking for inner peace, and I'm going to tell you, I went into our community and our email list, and I asked people this one magical question. They've given me all of the answers that they needed to give me for me to be able to solve the problem, And hey, listen, I would love to be that for you as well, because maybe you're facing a divorce. Maybe you're changing jobs. Maybe you're about to be fired from your job. Maybe it's a family member. Maybe you're suffering with a loss. Maybe, you're about to, or you're on the cusp of breakup. You're not married, but, you've been with each other for some time and stuff like that. Maybe you're looking for financial gain. Maybe you're looking to save, because you keep losing out on money. Maybe you want to be stronger in your faith. I don't know, However, everybody need inner peace, and I got some great things in this particular course, but I still need to finish it, man. I got to finish this thing. I got to, just print it out, get the things together. I got the templates and everything. I just got to just do it and render it, and just, go back over it, just recap and make sure that everything is good, for promotional, and I'm doing this video to keep me accountable. So look, No Niche family, whomever you are, drop in the comments that you are someone who had a job, that it was so good you had to start your own after, because you couldn't see any job to match that. And don't get me wrong, I know that there are other jobs that can match that, but when you believe in you and you believe in what you're able to do, other people don't mind going to pick up a check, But when you have to start a particular digital business, people think it's going to take about 10, 15 years. But if you got enough faith and optimism, you have that strong drive. And I don't mean just in the beginning. I mean all the way through. If you know the steps, and I want to give a shout out also to TED Talk. I want to give a shout out to Mr. Pat Flynn. I want to give a shout out to Mr. Peter Voog. And more so, I want to give a shout out to Mr. Sean Cannell, he started me out on all of this, and the entire Think Media, from the MTP, soon to be family. I want to just give a shout out to Think Media. You guys are amazing. And Mr. Sean Cannell, you're amazing. And I know the original people, Mr. Sean Cannell, Mrs. Heather Torres, yeah, right. I think Heather Torres, yes. Nolan Moats, and also Omar El Takori. You all have inspired me to get my first Canon 90D. Now I'm dealing with a Blackmagic 6Pocket K Pro, full frame, 6Pocket, full frame, and a 6Pocket K Pro, and I'm dealing with an Arri Alexa bars. Bum, bum, bum. I'm also doing like short films and stuff like that, but that's not about that. This is about my business and stuff like that. And I want to just encourage all of you, listen, if you want to start your own digital business, if you want to start your YouTube channel, start that. That's become a business, And I would ask anybody, if you start a YouTube channel, accept the fact that it's an entertainment, even on the entertainment level, think business, y'all. and watch it happen for you, you know? But yo, that's it, man. Just, you got to grind it out. No matter how you feel, you got to just push yourself to do it. You feel me? One last thing I wanted to just say, that I was looking at Mr. Sean Cannell and Think Media. They have the Think Media podcast, and they got also Think Media, and those are, you know, channels that they do have. And he was interviewing this lady who is like the podcast gurette. Yeah, is it guru and a gurette? I don't know. You know. However, is that a word? Anyway, she said something that really struck a nerve, and it struck a nerve in such a great way that I want to encourage all of you. Sometimes you got to work on your business even when you don't feel confident. You know, everybody's going to sit there and tell you, work on what you got to work on even if you don't feel like doing it. Yeah, but you know what's in the pot of not feeling like doing it? The lack of confidence. So even when you don't feel confident, do it. Work on at least a little bit of it. Work on a tiny bit of it when you don't feel like it. You know what's going to happen? You're going to work on more. Then you're going to work on more. And before you know it, you're up and you almost finished the whole thing because you just needed to get started, you know? And you ever went to a particular like event you did not feel like going to, you know, and it took you everything to get out the house. But then as soon as you got there, you had the best time of your life. Take that and transfigure that into your work. You know, when you started, because of the passion that you have and the love that you have, it's not work. You just sometimes, your body just sometimes say, yo, no, I don't, or your brain is like, no, you got to do this again. You know, everything is good up to the point where you're like, man, I just want to go to the basketball court. Man, I just want to go get me some ice cream. Yo, man, I just want to go to the movies. You know, I just want to go shoot a movie. I want to do something fun. This was fun before I got started. And now it's even that much more fun when you get the results. Yo, it's your boy Donald Francis for the last time. Peace.
Woke up today, smile on my face. May not go my way, still got my faith, so I'll be okay.